Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Kandrac and Kole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. It's Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. This is episode 9, Tricks of the Trade. And this is Kelly. I'm going to kick off this morning and just tell you that we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff we've learned over the last 13 years. And so we figured we might as well share, right?
So we see the same issues. This is Joann, by the way. We see the same issues time and again in house after house. So let's have some schoolhouse lessons today.
Yes. Everybody loves those. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to go through lots and lots of tricks. So you might want to take some notes. The first category we're going to talk about is measuring. How to measure. Probably the first rule of thumb, if you're not a designer and you're not used to this, is go bigger than your comfort zone.
You see this a lot. A perfect example is kitchen pendants.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be way bigger. You used to see 3 small kind of
little guys. They're about 7 inches wide.
Now they're big. Lighting is much bigger.
Statement stuff.
Yeah.
And I always tell people before, let's go back one step before we talk about this, but even if you're not a designer, keep a small tape measure in your bag. You won't believe how much you use it. And keep your measurements with you.
Let's say, for example, you've had this piece over your sofa for many years and you don't really love it. And you figure, well, if I ever saw something, if you don't know the size you're looking for and you're somewhere and you see like the greatest thing, and maybe it's somewhere that you can't return it, or it's at at an antique store or something. If you don't know the measurement, you may have missed the opportunity to get something that you really like because you don't want to buy it and make a mistake. So keep those key measurements with you.
Yeah. Remember when we were at Scott's Antique Market and I was on a mission to find a little oriental rug for in front of my vanity in my powder room, but it was a really odd size. I wanted it to be like exactly in front of the vanity. And if I hadn't had those measurements with me, I totally would have screwed up.
Yeah, because those little antique rugs, they're not a standard 2x3. They're a little bit,
Yep. Weird. So speaking of rugs.
So we get this asked a lot, dining rooms. What size or how should the rug be arranged with my table? Mm-hmm. So you generally want all of your chairs to be on the rug, and you want to be able to pull them out so they're still on the rug. So that's about 36 inches wider on all sides to allow for that chair to pull out.
Because most dining chairs, are about 24 inches deep, and you're giving yourself about 12 inches of pull out. Yeah. So, or another way to look at it, if the room is really big, you can just take the measurement of your room, your space, and if you've got pretty hardwood floors, and come in at least a foot on all sides. Yeah. And that just is a good size, good size rug.
Yes.
So there you go.
Okay. Another question. Chandeliers over a table. How high should they be? Okay. Take the notes on this one.
I had this vision of people like, oh my God, I'm not ready. Slow down. Wait, I'm trying to write this all down.
Okay. So you're at your dining room table. So you take the measurement from the top of your table, which 99% of the time is 30 inches, and from the top of your table to the bottom of your fixture should be 30 to 34 inches. That's for an 8-foot ceiling.
Yep, that was the standard back in the day.
Yes.
Everybody's got tall ceilings now.
So if it's higher than 8, what's the deal?
You can go up. I think the general rule is like 3 inches per foot, but it just becomes a visual thing, I think, when you've got 9, 10, 11 vaulted ceilings. I always tell people, sit down at your dining room table and look across at the person, like you're looking across at the person you're dining with. You don't want the chandelier like looming over your head like a spacecraft, but you don't want it so high in the sky that it's not,
And the other thing is,
scale to the room.
If the ceiling's higher, then consider a taller chandelier so you don't have, a lot of chain.
Yeah. So we go round and round about the height and the width of a chandelier, but you basically just want to, really keep that scale in mind.
Same kind of thing, pendants over an island. This is 36 to 40 inches from the top of the island to the underside of the fixture.
Yep. And that's another visual thing. If you've got tall ceilings, you might want to do more of a lantern pendant where you've got some height to eat up that visual empty space.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Oh, bar and counter stools.
Yeah, this is a tricky
think it
one
would be
because
easy,
but
but
people don't. Nobody teaches you this kind of stuff.
Yeah, true.
So, say you have a kitchen and you've got your island. That's counter height, but then you're not seeing it as much anymore because now they're taking the like what you would consider the
That
bar
step up,
around.
yeah.
Yeah, that step up where the people sit around that bar. That's higher. So bar stool seat height should be 30 to 32 inches. And counter 24 to 26
That's the seat height?
seat height.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because a counter is at 30 inches, so you're 24 to 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then watch the what's the word for this? It's a drop or
It's a
like
drawer.
like it's a word for
yeah, there's
under.
it's
I can't think of it, but anyway, like for example, we're in the studio right now, and we have this huge table that we sit at, and it's counter.
It's counter height.
It feels taller than
But
that. But
it
anyway,
has
it has a
drawers.
drawer. So my knees are hitting, and as soon as we stop talking, I'm going to think of the word for this when you have the depth or the drop of your table.
The
But anyway,
apron. The apron.
Yes, thank you, Jesus. So so my knees are hitting, so I'm really aggravated. So what we should have gotten was stools that have a lever or screw up and down, or so I can adjust it perfectly. So pay attention to that apron because like this one's a good like 6 or 7 inches, and I screwed up when I got these counter stools. So there you go.
So there's a trick for you. Window treatments.
My favorite, not.
Okay. This is kind of a touchy subject because we're not really big fans of ready-made window treatments, but custom window treatments are an investment and not everybody can afford to do it. But there are definitely some things that don't need to make it scream like it's not custom. One being like flood plants, where they're where they're way high above the floor. And then the other is where you're mounting the rods.
Please don't touch the trim. Do
Don't
not
mount them
screw
on the trim.
into the trim. And don't put the hardware 1 centimeter above the top of the trim in a desperate effort to make that panel that's too short touch the floor.
So basically, you always want to go for the longer length, the 90 inches, 92, and then take them to a seamstress or dry cleaners and have them hem them.
Yes.
So that they are just, right above the floor.
Yes.
No
And
more
I think
flooding.
that it's always a matter of scale and what your ceiling height is, but I generally like the rod to be at least 6 inches above the window.
It gives the room,
Just maximize your height.
yeah.
But I don't want it, 36 inches above the windows where I have so much space. I should be putting a piece of art there or something,
We'll put a visual up in the show notes for this episode, and you'll be able to see the best place to hang hardware for a window treatment.
So here's your favorite trick, Joann.
swivel.
It's really not a trick. It's just a smart,
It's just
smart way to design.
Yeah. So swivel chairs, we love. We use swivel chairs in so many applications, and a lot of times, if you have a room where not everybody can face the TV, and you'll have maybe 2 swivel chairs to the side so that those people can turn and see the TV, or sometimes they may want to turn around to look at the people behind them if there's a kitchen there or whatever. So generally, the 2 swivel chairs have a table in between. Now, this is where you need to pay attention to the arm heights because most people don't.
Yeah.
So when you're swiveling,
Or your kid is
yeah.
at high speed.
yeah, you need to make sure that arm is going to go under the table. So many times it needs to be a pedestal type of table so that it can turn in there because there's nothing worse than sitting there and then bashing in
And the lamp goes flying.
and the lamp goes flying and then you're messing with your upholstery on your chair. So definitely check that because there are different arm heights for different chairs.
And I think that, when we're putting together a design for a client and they start making lots of changes and they think it's kind of easy that they're making changes, and it's really not because we have meticulously watched all the, taken into account all these different heights and sizes when we're selecting everything. So personally, I don't really like an end table to be more than 3 inches above or below. It can be, shorter than the arm. That's fine. And it can also be taller. But I don't like this big shelf looming over my arm.
Yeah. You have to be careful too, because, for example, let's just say you have a couple of chairs that you really love. They may be a little more on the traditional side, but you want to get kind of a funky little table to put in between. So you go to West Elm, where it's a little more not so traditional, where everything is a little bit lower. And then it looks like it's a miniature, where it needs to go with chairs that have low, that are more contemporary.
Yeah. Now, before you all start, freaking out, I think that if it's a little baby accent table that you're just putting a drink on, or it's just for looks or whatever, then I think it can be really tiny. But if it's functioning for you, it has a lamp on it, or it's it's got a function, then I think that kind of 3-inch rule for me is kind of important. Yeah. So,
and then another thing, just not really a trick, but kind of a rule, really. The distance between, where you're sitting and where a coffee table is. A good distance is about 18 inches.
Yeah. I mean, we're always trying to really be aware of the traffic pattern and making sure you've got enough room.
Or that it's just comfortable, because if you're sitting there with your drink and then you've got to lean way over to put your drink, it's all about, things that feel right, that, you can set your drink down and you're not having to, or you don't have to stand up and do the side shuffle to get out.
Yeah. And that reminds me that most people's coffee tables are way too small. Yeah.
Okay. One of our favorite things to do is installing gallery walls.
People ask us so many times.
Yeah, we do it a lot, and people are very afraid and very intimidated to do this, but we'll give you some great DIY tips to do it.
Yeah. And this comes up a lot when, of course, in this digital age, people aren't printing photographs like they used to. And so these galleries really have a lot of value. But also, we do not only just photograph portrait galleries, but we do a lot of art galleries, because inevitably people have all these pieces that they really enjoy, but they're too small to sit by themselves on a big wall. So, putting them together in a gallery, even though they're all different and they don't really make sense, if they matter to you and they all have a story, we can make them look good, and make them all partner together.
There are some great visuals online. Minted.com has a whole section that shows you different galleries and how to arrange them. Potterybarn.com has a great, and they sell some really nice gallery frames. But they also have these templates.
Gallery frames in a box.
10 in a box or something. Yeah, they have 6,
and
10.
They're really nice.
And they are really pretty nice. But it can help you with the arrangement, the space in between. And, it all depends on the size of your wall. But when we do them, one of our tricks is we take craft paper. Let's say, for example, we've got a wall that's, 8 foot, 10 foot wide, and we have the confines of the area. We will go ahead and cut out in craft paper the size of what we're putting, and then we'll label it, whether it be, wedding photo,
Sunset Beach, or whatever it is.
Then put them all on the wall with blue tape, and just kind of move them around and arrange them till it looks, kind of right. And so, you want your mix of horizontal and vertical,
big, small.
When we do portrait galleries, we usually do them all in black and white.
It's less busy.
Yeah. And so that's a way of being able to look at it, so you're not making holes in the wall that are,
Lay it all out on the floor first, or on a bed or something in the usable space that you've kind of marked off. Yeah. And then and then you can start moving around that craft paper on the wall, over 1/2 inch up at 2 inches, and just following the guide of Minted or Pottery Barn to give you an idea of where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they look so good.
Oh,
they're so personal.
Yeah, I
love them.
It's really great. Like you said, people just really don't print pictures anymore.
Yeah, it's really important.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some products, or just products, not necessarily exactly what they are, but what they do for us.
One of our faves is floor rugs, spelled FLOR. These are really great carpet tiles that are, used commercially, but we use them a lot in residential homes.
For kids and busy families, not really in,
Yeah, and so these squares get put together, and when they're all put together, they look like one carpet. So they have a great website that will show you how to calculate. So let's say, for example, you have a very weird space and you need an 11 foot by 6 foot. There's no way that you're getting that standard. So you can punch that number. They have a calculation on their website. You punch in 11 by 6 and it'll say, oh, you need this many amount of tiles. It's really, really great. And then putting them together is a cinch. You just go to their website. They have a little video on how to put it together. And it's great because if for some reason you have an accident, major spill, dog, whatever, you can lift the one carpet
Tile
out
up,
and replace
put
it.
a new one down.
Yeah.
Because they're each one is like, what, 10, 15,
15, 20. Yep.
$20. So, and just a little FYI, if you've got a busy, playroom, craft room, kitchen area that's, gets trashed pretty easily. Another source that we use a lot of that people I don't really maybe think of as a go-to is Etsy. Etsy.com. It's a collection of amazing artisans who are making things, originally, and we turn to them for the craziest stuff, like that one you're working on right now.
So we're working on a new build home, and so we want to do something a little different in the powder room. So we want to do a live edge wood slab and put a vessel sink on it. So I've done some checking, and it turns out like Etsy has got several. The thing I love about it too is there are reviews, so people will tell you whether it was good or not. And these people are like, they just don't maybe have the money to have a showroom or whatever. So this is a great place for them to show their stuff. And what about the burlap shower curtain?
We were doing this kind of young urban model here in Atlanta, and I wanted a shower curtain that was kind of burlap, but there's all different qualities of burlap, so they can get really nasty. But I like the way this lady makes hers, and she does this cool trim on the top and bottom and kind of funks it up, and it was $100. And I told her it wasn't 72 by 72 like your average shower curtain at Target. I needed 90 by, I don't remember, I did 84 or something like that.
And I think because these people really rely on the reviews, their customer service is really, really
we've
good.
had such good luck.
Oh, little thank you notes. And so I love using Etsy when we can.
All right, here's a few just quick little things that we use. Zip ties. Okay. Now, your cat might be having fun with the cords behind your table or your puppy, but let's get those all cleaned up. So generally what we do is just, first of all, take off that big plastic tag with the red writing on it. You don't need it. Cut that thing off. Then get your cord all plugged in, and then all that excess, just loop it together. Take a little zip tie. They come in packs from your local hardware store, and just zip it together and hide it. If you want to, you can tape it behind your table, but usually they just hang real good. And then no more cords. Looks so pretty if you have open like table.
Yeah. Okay, for those of you with bed skirts, pet peeve is when the bed skirt is not staying on the box spring. This is so great. We thought that we could only get this through our industry people, but they're called bed skirt screws. Okay, you can get them on Amazon. Bed Bath & Beyond carries some called Hold On, and they're these little round plastic screws. And you put you get your bed skirt all on there perfectly, and then you screw these. You just kind of keep turning them and turning it into the box spring like every few inches, and the box spring, the bed skirt will not move again.
Yeah. It's like this little plastic pin top, and then the screw is spiral. So you're literally, twisting. So the bed skirt you're going into the box spring, and it will not move. And this is, a lot of custom bed skirts are really heavy and they hang well by themselves, and you may or may not need them. I still have them on all my custom bed skirts. But for the ready-made ones that are not as heavy, maybe they're not lined. Like when I go to my mom's beach house, and I'm like, every time I tuck in the sheets, I'm tucking in the bed skirt. It's so aggravating. So buy the bed skirt screws, people. Okay. Sorry, I get upset about certain stupid stuff.
Okay. Lighting. Okay. We love lamps that have 150 watt bulbs.
Yes.
Generally, the lights that people are using are 60 watt. Mm-hmm. If you want lower, you just go to the 50. If you want higher, you go to the 100. If you want really great reading, go to 150. So,
and let me tell you,
check those when you're buying
most
lamps.
of the cheap lamps are 60s.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why it's cheap.
Invest in it.
Yes. So let's talk about plants. We're just of the mind that if you have a green thumb and your live plants are beautiful and you maintain them very well, that's super fabulous. But if you don't have them in your house. Greenery is beautiful, especially when we're stylizing, and
it helps. It helps to give a room a little bit of life.
Yeah, but we've started using succulents a lot, preserved and real, and because the preserved ones still look so real, and the live ones are so easy to keep in touch with, and Home Depot, Pikes, they all have really great ones. So keep that in mind the next time you kind of want some greenery, because everybody should have something live in their house.
Okay, we get asked a lot on this, and we do a lot of these runners on a staircase. And so the deal is, you really don't. Your carpet in the rest of your house doesn't. Your stairs don't need to match the rest of the carpet in your house. It's great to use something different. It probably needs to be a better quality anyway, with all the traffic on it. So 100% wool is ideal. But what happens a lot of times is people have their stairs, the carpet is right from the left to the right. There's no way to make it like a runner, because most people
maybe
never have hardwood under that.
Right. Well, if you're not building it.
So I think people think if they don't have the hardwood under it, it's going to be too expensive to have them put the hardwood, and so forget it. No, you don't have to make it a runner. It can go from the side to the side, but like you said, like 3 stairs. Usually
a lot of times,
the first 3 stairs,
are
do
all
have
hardwood,
that.
or there's hardwood on the sides.
Yeah.
So keep it that way.
Yeah.
And then as you get up the stairs, and you can take it wall to wall, that's totally fine. Yeah. But think about having some fun with it. Go with a pattern. Go with a stripe. It can still be in neutral colors if that freaks you out. And sisal, wool. I mean,
leopard.
Have fun with it. And and just go to a carpet store. They will bind it, and it doesn't have to be, a runner rug.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Benches. Love benches because they're so versatile. I use a bench for a coffee table in my family room. I needed to be something narrow. I still wanted to be able to put a glass down, put my feet up, have my magazines. So that works great. Benches are great at the end of a bed. They're great in an entry. So I say, if you find a bench that you love, buy it, because there's so many different ways you can use it.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of classroom time, and we have so much more to share with you guys. But I think we're going to do it in a separate episode, because we have so many more tricks and tips and stuff.
We just talked too long. Yeah, we need a part 2.
That's a lot of good stuff.
We need a part 2.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to
here's the
inspire
quotes.
Everybody today?
Here's the quote of the day.
All right, go girl.
I feel like we say this a lot, but we're just trying to beat it into your brains.
Yeah.
If you wait until you can afford to buy everything new, you're missing the point. It's the old, the new, the hand-me-down, the collected, the worn but loved things in your home that make it your own.
Love it.
Stacy Risenmay. She's from the Not Just a Housewife blog.
I love that, and it's so true. So next week, well, folks,
I know.
I'm going to be by myself. Is Joann stitching me? And she's going to Italy.
I'm so sorry. I'm going for inspiration.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, I mean, you are first generation Italian. You need to go back to your roots. So she's ditching me. So
we have a guest speaker.
We have a guest speaker. Oh my God, our first one. And we're really excited. We're going to have Tasha Elrod from Moda here in Atlanta, and we just are working with her on a $1 million new build, and she is so savvy.
Yeah. Do you know when you meet someone in a certain business and they're talking and you're going, oh my God, this girl has so much information in her brain. She is so smart.
Yeah.
She just has a wealth of information.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking all about flooring, there's hardwood, there's engineered hardwood, there's LVT, there's, and everybody's using all of it. So I want to talk about the differences and when it applies to you. Tile and stone and all the things you can do in kitchens and bathrooms. Oh my God. And the things that don't apply to floors but might apply to walls and vice versa.
And literally what was so great was, even though it's $1 million+ home, there's always a budget. Yeah. And so we selected the most amazing stuff, and there were certain things that we were looking at. She's like, well, that one's a little higher, but let's look at this. And it was just as beautiful, and we stayed very, very close to the budget. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a lot of questions for her while Joann's gallivanting around Pisa and Tuscany and Venice and Florence, and I can't talk about it. It gets me upset. So that's what we'll be chatting about tomorrow, and I think that'll be super fun. And then we'll
taking one for the team, Cal.
Yeah, I'm good like that. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Join Joann and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrac Kole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrac-kole.com for more information.